What is up, guys? Welcome to another Amazon FBA happy hour. Let us know what questions you have, and we will answer them. What's been going on?
Just working on my houses like usual. We
Nice.
getting ready before.
That's exciting. I mean, how far are you along?
So my first house, it should be done by the end of the month. It should. It's so originally it was like a 1 month renovation, and then when my painter came to talk about us, getting it painted, we realized that the paint was actually wallpaper with paint on top of it. I thought it was drywall, obviously, then paint. And whenever I, toured it and everything, it didn't even dawn on me at the time because they did a pretty good job at like hiding it. And it was most of it was like darker colored. Like the kitchen was like red. I did see some wallpaper on the walls. Obviously, there was wallpaper, but like the way that they did it in like sections. So they would do like, basically kind of like a trim around like half the wall. And then they painted the upper part, and it was like dark blue, purple, dark red, like colors that you didn't, brown, like colors that, you know what I mean? Like you can't easily see through. Now I understand why. And so when I went to the kitchen, to when we actually, because there was a backsplash originally on it from the they did like a traditional, more like a countertop. When they had the counters installed, they actually had like a part of the backsplash installed as well. So when they did that, it covered up a lot. And so whenever we ripped the counters out, and like, they accidentally ripped some of the what we thought was the drywall, it was actually just 8 layers. It was pretty thick of wallpaper. So it, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just, it's not the fact that there's 8 layers on there. It's the fact that they had 8 layers. Then they had at least 2 layers of paint on top of the wallpaper. So like you can't even get a steamer through there because it's just so much. So my painter said, listen, I can go through here and try to get it off as much as I can, or we could paint over top of it, but it's gonna look like crap. And I was like, well, I'm not going to try to sell a house that isn't, up to my standards. So what we had to do was completely drywall the house again, except for one room. And we never budgeted for it, not in the budget, the actual money for drywall and the labor for the drywall, the timeline, nothing, I had it to where it was a 1 month, like I said, but since we figured that problem out after the fact, that I did my budget and my timeline, it added on at least 2 weeks, and thousands of dollars, because that house is a decent sized house. So like I had to buy drywall for the entire house. The good thing at the time was I thought that we could get away with just doing the 2 bedrooms that I created, and then the other room, and then just in the kitchen in the dining room area. But then when my contractor went to, mud the walls, to just get out any imperfections, he actually noticed that whoever owned the house before me was an idiot, but they must have put like cardboard. There must have been like a dip in the drywall or like some kind of bubble, and they just put, to fill it in, they just put like cardboard in between the drywall. And then they like it over top. It was horrible. But like we walked in there and like you could see the bubble sticking out, and like we cut through it, and like he picked it out, and it was like this thick of like, it looked like cardboard. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was like cardboard. So then we had to sheetrock obviously all of that as well. So then it was like basically the whole house. I mean, the only thing that didn't get drywalled was the master bedroom and in the basement, because in the basement it actually has like the barn siding kind of look to it, the wood panel.
Oh, okay.
So I just kept it down there. I was like, we're not drywalling everything.
That's crazy.
And then the other house we're not even working on right now because I fired my first crew. So it's been sitting there for like the last month while we So like I said, it should be the first week of October. We should be transitioning into the other house, and then this house will be up for sale, and then hopefully I sell that one, and then by the time that one's finished, it'll be ready to go up on the market, and then I hopefully have another house kind of on the back burner.
Wow, you're like a little real estate mogul now.
It's a lot of headaches, but what's not.
What's up, Deal Man? Everything is going good. How's everything going with you? Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you too. What questions do you guys have? Drop them in the chat. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
It's one headache after another. Like, it's just every time my contractor calls me, I like
you don't want to open it.
I'm like
I feel like that's every time too. Like you get an email from Amazon, you're like,
yeah, it's like, do you want to open it fully or not?
Like one of my products is probably like stranded. One of it, they're like deleted the listing, or who knows what else, or high price surge. Like, you just never want an email from them.
I have a story about that. So I sent in some stuff that I had at my house, and actually I bought this item like months ago, and it was sitting at the prep center. And so then finally I had told him, like, just send it to my house and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do with it. But it got to my house and I was ungated, and I was selling some FBM while I was, I get so busy that it was hard for me to get my shipment out like quickly. So I was just selling through it while I had, waited until I could get it fully out the door. Well, I finally sent it in like 2 weeks ago. Mind you, it was ungated. I was selling it. And then today I checked because I'm like, man, what is taking it so long? Like, it's been 2 weeks, and I sent it to the one close to my house, and it gets checked in like a couple of days, kind of fast. So I'm like, there's something really wrong. So I went on my Seller Central and I like looked, and they just gated me in it. And I was just like,
what? Jeez.
I was just literally like 3 weeks ago, I was selling this item at my house, this FBM, and then I sent it into Amazon to sell it, through FBA, and then I get a notification like, you've been gated, and they're not accepting any new applications. And I was like, I've been ungated in this brand for literally like a year now, and you're just now telling me that I can't sell this product.
I was listening to someone and they were talking about like the whole ungating thing, and they think that a lot of it like was due to like COVID or something like that. Like that they were letting everyone just get ungated and everything so they could get like more like inventory. Like, and now they're just like, yeah, like we're gonna go back to what we normally are doing, and like we're not accepting like blank pieces of paper and all this other stuff. I mean, yeah, like I would got like regated in like the Packy chip, and like, I mean, I'm glad that happened, but I mean, yeah, it's just crazy to think that. I remember last Q4 they did the same thing with Lego. They were just like, you can no longer sell Lego.
Everybody was like,
I was at a heart attack. I like text someone. I was like, did you see this? And I was just like, and I was like, I think like it's like late October. So like I bought like more, like I bought like 10 items from Amazon, and I was like, I'm gonna get ungated again. And then like 2 days later, they're like, oh, sorry, like you could still sell it. And I was like, oh, great. Like, I guess. What's going on? Can you talk about how to prep different items before sending to FBA? Yeah, sure. So when you are sending items to FBA, basically what you do is you get them, you get a listing software, or you can do it through Seller Central. I'm not really sure how to do it through Seller Central anymore, but basically I use Inventory Labs. I actually just did a shipment, so it's pretty fresh. So basically I just literally unpack everything, kind of put it on the table. I have a spreadsheet with what I bought, how much I paid for it, and basically how much I want to list it for. So basically all I do is I copy and paste the ASIN into Inventory Labs. It creates like a custom SKU for me. It prints out a label. I put that label on the back of the item. You have to cover the barcode. If you have like if you're selling these like 2 pens, like you have to put them in a poly bag, and then you put the label on the poly bag. If it's glass, like you got to wrap it in bubble wrap. Amazon has like a pretty good breakdown. If you do like just Google Amazon FBA like prep, instructions or something. They'll kind of break down pretty much everything you need to do. And then you're going to box it all up. You're going to have to fill out box content. So basically, you're going to have to tell Amazon, hey, the pen is in this box, the water bottle is in this other box. And you kind of do all that. You can't, God, I don't remember exactly what it is. I don't think you could send boxes over 25 inches long unless the item is 25 inch or longer than that. And you can't send any boxes over 50 pounds unless a single item is over 50 pounds. And then you have to put like a team lift sticker on it. I don't know if there's anything else you could put on that, but the item has to be it. It's not like you could get put like 3 50-pound items in a box and then put a team lift sticker on it. And then basically you're going to put all the dimensions into Amazon. When you're ready, you're going to weigh the box, tape it up, and then they're going to print out. You're going to get a UPS label and then an Amazon label. And then you just stick those on the boxes and drop it off at UPS. I actually have a video on this channel. Just put in Side Hustle Experiment Inventory Labs. And it's like a 20 or 30-minute video kind of walking you through exactly how I do it.
It seems like a lot at first, but like once you get through your first few shipments, you're fine. It's just a lot of fine detail, like nuisance crap. Like you can't send a box in that's over 50 pounds, or the box can't be more than 25 inches on any side unless the item itself. So there have been times where I've sold items that are like 28 inches long. Well, I put them all in the same box, and it came in the box that it came in from my wholesaler. And I just sent it in like that, and it was never an issue. It's just, you can't have, a 27-inch box with small items in it. Just make sure because they'll let it slide in some cases, but eventually it's going to catch up to you because they keep track of things internally. So you might send in one box. This actually happened to me. One of my suppliers sent in a box that was like 52 pounds. And I don't even know if they realized it or not, because I don't think they did, because they've sent out probably thousands of orders. And I brought it up on my my shipment tab, because it'll tell you when you have errors and stuff and you're whatever it may be. And so I brought it up, and they had a picture of it on the scale. It was 52 pounds.
Yeah, that's right. I've definitely gotten that before.
It showed a picture of it. Just oh my God. I didn't even tell my supplier. I was just I let it go. You know what I mean? There's just some things I just am not gonna. So they'll give you warnings and stuff. But if you get too many of those, they will prohibit you from sending stuff. You gotta be careful.
That happened to me the other day. They sent me an email. They're just I think though it kind of made me mad because I dropped stuff off on UPS on a Sunday. So I'm doing a couple of shipments, real easy stuff that I just want to move and fly through quickly. Because the warehouse here, it just checks it in so quick. So I'm I don't really mind to do it. So, and it's really working well. Me sending a shipment a week and the prep center, I don't know what it is, but it just works. And they sent me an email. They're your package was 44 pounds and not 40 pounds. And I was all right. I think they said they were going to charge a difference, but they're oh, if you do this, keep doing this, you're not going to be able to send. And I was I don't know. I usually, to be honest,
just cut through.
Not a suggestion, but if it's 40 pounds, I'll usually just put 41. Just round up.
Always round up. Always
add an extra pounds. Just for this kind of reason. Today I added 2 extra pounds. I'm it's gonna be but I think it had to be an error though. The difference of 4 pounds, that's a big difference.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not a small, unless you're sending in heavy stuff, but that's
and then I looked at the UPS receipt that I got, and if you drop off at a UPS store, always get one. I usually get everything picked up, but it was just one of those, we were going out of town. I was I just want to get rid of this. I look at the receipt and the people checked it in as they just put 1 pound for the boxes. And I was because I was going to be no, UPS said 40 pounds.
And then you're That's 1 pound.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man, like that's so annoying. Yeah, it's always gonna get receipts because it's gonna have like the weights on it, and this way, if you ever have an issue with Amazon, you'd be like, nah, like something's wrong with your scale. Like UPS said, it was
And I've
40
heard of
pounds.
people having issues where and actually this happened to one of our clients, but um they Amazon says like somebody we sent in a box that was completely empty. And I was like, why would we ever send in a box that's completely empty?
That's, I
Like
mean,
we weigh the boxes before they go out, obviously. So like we know that they have stuff in them. And then Amazon's like, well, there's nothing inside the box. And we're just like, what? And then the
that's
client
one of the most difficult
just
parts
called
about
us.
kind of, yeah, when stuff like that happens, it's, oh man, it's not that like, you're like being lazy. It's just there's so much that goes into like fighting Amazon over like one item missing or something like how am I gonna like I'm not gonna spend 3 or 4 hours going back and forth with them over like 4 pounds or anything like that. It's just not worth the time. I think Amazon knows that. Like I think there was one where like UPS like it's just lost. And I think UPS lost Amazon saying UPS lost it. UPS is saying Amazon lost it. And at some point it was like I think it was like $200 or $300 worth of stuff. At some point you just got to be like, you know what? Like this isn't worth like the time and the aggravation and just kind of like move on and just be like, yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen again. Write it off as lost inventory at the end of the year and just kind of move on. I obviously like care a lot about like making as much as possible, but you also just think about how much you could source in the 4 or 5 hours. Like I in 1 hour I will have that like $200-300 like back. So it's just not worth it. And it's I feel like it's really hard to outsource too to like a VA if you like I'm not as organized as I should be. Like I basically all my receipts are just like in my inbox. So like to kind of go through all that, which is like I don't really get that many like issues where it makes sense to like screenshot all of them. I just don't do it. Let's see. I have a good amount of capital in a warehouse space. I've experience with OA and about 6 figures in revenue. That's awesome. Don't really like the sporadic nature of OA. Is wholesale a viable path to pursue? I'll let you answer that since you pursued that path.
So there's not like a one size fits all to when you should switch to wholesale. I think it's completely like case by case basis. So what I generally recommend is what you've done. You've started with OA, you've done 6 figures in revenue. If you feel like that you do have enough capital and enough experience, if you feel confident in your buying abilities and reading Keepa and all of the analytics and data, then that's when I would be like, okay, like look into it. I just don't recommend people going and doing wholesale first because it's just way riskier in my opinion. People out there that, I know plenty of people out there who've started with wholesale and did well, and I know plenty of people who just started with wholesale and didn't do well. But just in my personal opinion and how I've helped students and stuff, like I always recommend doing it first. So like that's what you've done. And it, like I said, it just boils down to, do you feel like confident in your buying abilities, and do you feel like you've got enough money to cover wholesale orders, because wholesale orders are going to be larger than most OA purchases. It just kind of depends on your wholesaler there too. So some of mine don't have an MOQ and some of mine have 25,000 MOQs. So like there's just like, it just varies completely.
Yeah, and I think Amazon Lit talked about this last year at Miami, and they were like mainly RA for the most part, and they were like it took them like I think almost 2 years to phase totally into wholesale. So like I wouldn't necessarily just drop OA and just focus on wholesale. I'd like maybe work it in, like maybe just I don't know what you do. I guess contact suppliers or build a list of people to reach out to, maybe start doing that slowly and then kind of go into it.
Yeah.
And for OA too, I do think it could be like sporadic, but I also feel like if you kind of put systems in place, or like you're always searching, like there are categories out there that just sell year round. They're always on sale. Or once you learn the sales cycles of the stores you buy from, it's not as sporadic, I would say. I think the sporadic nature of sales is awesome because that's when you could really cash in. But there's also other times where I'm buying stuff like with coupon codes or all this other stuff where there's like not a sale per se. And I've actually been someone I've been working with kind of like closely. It's kind of really opened my eyes to like there's a lot of stuff out there that's like 40, 50, 60% ROI. And like that's what I'm sourcing now. Like that's all I'm sourcing. I'm not just going with like the 20% like quick, like, I've been getting murdered on some of that stuff just because there's not a lot of leeway where it's like, oh yeah, just like high moving, fast volume, like that's great. But like once the price erodes, and you're making like $3, $4, right? Like if it drops like $2, like it's gonna drop another $2 for a week or two. People start to panic. So some of this stuff is tanking, and I'm like making like $7, $8 like as it's tanking. It's like absolutely insane. Um, so I'd maybe push a little harder and like kind of look for maybe some more of those opportunities. I'm not saying anything bad about wholesale or anything. Like I know people who crush it with that, but for me, I just really like doing OA and just kind of keep things moving with that.
Yeah, I would recommend doing it how I did it. Like, still do some OA while you're, scaling yourself into the wholesale, just so that you do have that. I didn't want to like sacrifice like my sales and the profit I was making every month, just to like up and quit and then do wholesale. Like I wanted to be able to have some stability and like be able to slowly move into wholesale and not feel like, oh my God, like I've got to like full send it month one, or I'm not going to like make very much money this month or whatever. Like it was so less stress when you can just kind of scale yourself. And so like say you're doing 100% wholesale now, maybe try like 80-20 and then try 50-50 or whatever you decide. There's no like exact formula for this. Like when I started doing wholesale, that was in August, and then I finally was 100% wholesale in March. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like like I started in August and by November I was doing it fully. Like it was, I phased it, and that was honestly probably the best thing to do in that situation.
Yeah. I would agree there. We literally take pictures of our open boxes with contents and shipping labels on the side and file for our records before it hits our shipper to FBA. That's actually a good idea. I know a lot of people do something similar like that. I guess if you're doing RA and you're shopping like Ollie's and stuff, I guess like the SKUs don't match up. Or I heard that with Marshalls too.
Hmm.
Like if you buy like Nike or something, it would just be like Nike shirt or something. So you have to like take pictures of like the tags or something. But yeah, I mean that's always a good idea to like take pictures. Or now when I'm doing the shipments, I actually just did one, and I don't know if you've ever seen it, but when he pops up, it'll be like, oh, there's like errors. And I'm like, what's the error? And they'll be like, oh, like your box should weigh like 44 pounds and not the 40 you put in. I guess they're like calculating like everything that you put in that box and like probably would they have it down that it weighs, which is kind of interesting. I just ignored it. So I do wonder if like something's gonna pop up. I'm like, I literally just weighed this box 3 times, like it's 40 pounds.
But then they get an empty box.
Yeah. I don't
The empty
know.
box weighed 40 pounds though.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I've had that happen. The only other time I've had that happen is like when I was working with like that bad prep center, Tiger Lily,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, "Oh, zero came in the box," and I was like, "Wouldn't surprise me if that was
Okay.
the case."
Okay, Oregon Prep Center doesn't do that though. We
Oh
do
no,
that.
I'm just saying. I'm just
No,
saying. No, I'm
no,
not
like
saying.
people get mad about it, and then we're like, we didn't. Why would we ship out?
Yeah, it's a waste of time, a waste of money. I feel like the UPS guy would be like, there's nothing in here. Like,
Yeah,
this
literally.
costs
No.
£20.
Amazon loses so much stuff. They lie about stuff. They do stuff that's not even, I don't even think legal. Like, why would you just assume it was us? Like, oh yeah, it was them. They just stole all the stuff. They packed everything inside the box, and then they pretended like they sent it out, but they actually ripped the box open and dumped it all out, and then taped it back up and then sent it out. Like,
Maybe
yeah.
someone did that. They like dumped it in their car trunk, and then they were just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna
You
take
know what
this."
probably happened? It arrived at the prep center, like IND4, and they've got their trucks in the back, and they just said they backed up and they just ripped the box open, stuffed it in the back. Oh
We
yeah,
got some Nikes, guys. Back it up.
there was nothing here. Nothing
That's
in the box.
crazy. Talk about theft. I saw this thing on Instagram the other day. It was like, I don't know if it's true or not, but they were saying that like Walmart's building a new store in Atlanta, and they have so much issues with theft that they're putting a police station inside the Walmart. There's gonna be like
Oh
a pharmacy, like I don't know, whatever else they put in there, and then a police station. And I'm
yeah,
like,
it's
that is
it's bad on the
insane.
west. Yeah, it's bad on the West Coast. Like in Oregon, the WalMarts have like bars and stuff on things. So like deodorant, they'll like lock up in a box. And it just looks like a bunch of cages because people steal stuff. Like there's like a Walmart that like went bankrupt because they just like stole millions of dollars worth of stuff out there. It's actually crazy. Like you want to go get a razor, it's like locked, it's literally locked up. You know, like how when you
Yeah,
go and buy like electronics and stuff like that, like expensive things, and they have it behind lock and key.
yeah,
That-
yeah.
like soap, razors,
Insane.
deodorant, like crazy things. Like you go to Home Depot and you want to paint a can of paint, it's locked. It's behind bars essentially. Like you have to go ask the
That's absolutely insane. That sucks for the store too, because like someone like me, I'd be like, I'm not going there. It's so
That's why
annoying to have someone to like open the thing. Like I just want to get in and get out. And
that's
then
what I
like,
told Ricky. I said, "How does anybody shop?" Because like it takes me hours as it is to do my runs, and I'm not asking people to like unlock things for me. Like I'm just getting them and putting in my cart and going. Like it would take forever.
yeah, like in my like how yeah, I don't know what the solution to that would be, because like you would think that like for something like a can of paint, like that'd be somewhat hard to walk out with. But then I guess like I don't know how far fetched is it if like if you put everything on like a dolly and like everyone who sees you just assume you pay for it right
Mhm.
there because you're wheeling around. It's not like everything's bagged up. Like I could see a razor, someone could probably put it in their pocket or like whatever they're doing. But I was just like, when I saw that, I was like, that's absolutely insane. Like to have a police department in a Walmart.
That's gonna come to Oregon.
That's so crazy. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's like the
Yeah,
new
man,
trend.
who's stealing like razors and like? Well, I know who's stealing the homeless people, but
Yeah, still, I'm just like, I just can't believe it.
it just
Do you know if Thrive Cosmetics does IP complaints or cancels orders? Placed a couple of orders and it said they are processing, but it feels like it's been too long since they've shipped. I think Thrive Cosmetics does, or it's on IP alert.
yeah, they
Or
don't like resellers. I know that for a fact because back whenever I was selling Thrive, I was flagged
a
as a
lot of the
reseller.
times too with these sites, they won't send you an email that it's canceled. They'll just like if you go to your email and like click on the order,
Okay.
sometimes I don't know if it's Thrive, you'll go to it and it'll be like this has been canceled. So like make sure you check your credit card to make sure you get like refunded
Mhm.
um for that, because usually these places like will just charge you and you'll never know. Um I've had that happen with a couple places where like they just never shipped and they were just like, "Oh, it's been on back order." I was like, "Well, like I don't want it anymore. Like give me my money back." And they'd be like, "Okay," but like they would have never did it if I didn't reach out to them. So
Yeah, it's called
yeah,
like
Thrive.
you know. They'll just silently reject it.
Yeah, and then when you reach out, they're just like, nah, like I don't know how they do that. Like, so there is one, like I use a Gmail for like my main email, and it's like just it's nothing like my company or anything like that. And like sometimes I'll get like an email that'd be like, "Oh, we flagged you as like a reseller," and it's like for an order of like 3 or something. Like if I'm trying to warm up a site, I'm like, how would you know? Like that email is not connected to like unless they connect it to my social media. I don't know. It's just weird. I was like, how would you
Unless
be?
you had a catch-all, like these catch-alls are easier to detect. That's why I never used a catch-all. One, I didn't use a catch-all because I was too lazy to make a catch-all.
Yeah.
Two, I just know from previous experience because I was a botter that those are easier, obviously, and you can tell when you look at a catch-all email. It's like not rocket science.
Yeah. I never really got into the catch all thing, too. It's just, I don't know. It was just one of those things. It seems like it's not going to last anyway.
Mhm.
Like the store is eventually going to catch on that, like, you're ripping their like 20% off coupon like every time, and like it's being delivered to the same address and paid by the same card. Like, I don't really mess with that. Just, I don't know. I feel weird about it too because it's like it's just not going to end well, and plus, it's
I
just
just
not
make
worth it for
it.
me. I mean, I know a lot of people like it works well for them, but I don't know. For me, I don't care about it. If you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. Our first month of business, UPS lost $1,000 box. Same thing. UPS lost it. No, Amazon lost it. We gave up. Yeah, that's there must be like so much money. Like obviously that box is somewhere.
The amount
Where
of
that box is.
Can you just imagine the amount of leakage that happens amongst all of us Amazon sellers that we know about and that we don't know about, but most importantly, the ones that we know about that like Amazon truly owed us money. I don't know. In these cases, I just assume Amazon was the one that is in the wrong because that's just
Yeah, no, and I would assume that too, because I can't even imagine. I mean, you were at like your prep center, just like all the volume that like, comes through there, and you have to sort out, like times that by like a million, and that's like what's going on at Amazon,
I
like
just
all that inbound, which is crazy. And then I'm just,
yeah, to
I
be
don't know.
fair, there is a lot of stuff coming in and out. So I can honestly believe that they do lose stuff. But I also do think there's an element of thievery in there as well. Like
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. Just because I've heard from like, you just see kind of like gossip and you hear things on like Twitter and other social
yeah.
medias and stuff like about like IND4 and like Tulsa. Like
Yeah, I do think they're like eventually there'll be like almost like a series where like there's a whistleblower at Amazon.
yeah,
And it's like,
exactly. That's what
yeah, like we skim like because we
well,
know that Amazon's just gonna like say sorry to the third party, like there's nothing we could do about it, and like it doesn't matter. But like if we lost something Amazon paid for, like we're screwed.
no, there was I believe there was a Twitter page at one point in time of some like previous employees of IND4 or something. And they talked about like some of the crazy stuff that was going on there. Like and so like I can only imagine. I don't know if it's 100% true, obviously, but like if that stuff was going on, stuff makes sense now. Like things are starting to add up as to why things go missing. Like I don't know if do you have any idea if IND4 is an issue anymore? Because it used to be like a giant issue.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. I feel like a lot of my stuff used to actually go there. Like this was like a year ago when I first started OA, and we use a Montana prep center. Now I use one in Montana as well. Nothing goes there. I don't really do any apparel anymore though, so I don't know if that's kind of what typically goes there. I haven't really seen any. I Yeah, it was bad. Like I remember being like this group chat, like people them losing like hundreds of pairs of sneakers, like 3 or 400 pairs of sneakers. That could be like 30, 40 grand worth of inventory.
Didn't wasn't it Drew who lost a whole bunch of stuff?
Yeah, it was like I think yeah, it was part prep center,
I
part Amazon, I
was
think.
gonna say it was like a
Oh, I
crazy amount.
met Drew. I think you told me. you like reach out to this guy because he's
Oh yeah.
like he had like a Google Doc or something, and he was like
Yes.
collecting, and he's like trying to put together the
He's
pieces.
collecting data for everything. Like for this. Yeah, I remember this
Yeah,
now.
like that was the first DM I sent him on Twitter, and I was like, "Oh, you haven't like," and he's like, "Yeah, like put what you're missing in this like is this ginormous Google
It was
Doc of like
giant.
ASINs," and I was just like,
Oh,
"Dang!" Like I guess everyone like just put it in there, and it was just like, I think he was like, "Don't steal this shit. Like this is to get back at whatever. Like don't be a scumbag, basically." Um, but yeah, that's always kind of a crazy thing. But yeah, there has to be so much leakage at Amazon. Like I can't even imagine. And I do wonder, like, it's so hard to stay on top of. I mean, I feel like that would be like the next like $1 million like software idea is like if something could track like the
yeah.
package or like somehow you could load all your order numbers into something and that could like somehow get into your account and like pull what you're supposed to get and like track it all the way to wherever it's going, the prep center. And then they're like, yo, it got to the prep center. Like all 8 of these for sure got to the prep center. So now like you have something very clear with the prep center where you're like, no, all 8 of them got there. Like what happened after that? Like, I don't know, but like you got to figure it out. And then from the prep center to Amazon, that like FC transfer stuff, like I was looking to replenish something, and I'm like looking at it. You know how like at the bottom it's like, oh, like these shipments are pending, like because they're an FC transfer or they're checking in. It's all the way at the bottom. So there's nothing at the bottom, and like I ordered 30 of these, and I'm looking at like the last 90 days in sales, and it's saying that there's only like 6 sales or the last 30 days, they're like, there are only 6 sales. And I'm just like, but they're showing inventory like 9. I'm like, wait a second. Like, where's the other 15? Right? It's not showing like FC transfer or whatever. So like I reached out to like Riverbend because they're like, oh, we need receipts for something. I was like, could you
Mhm.
look into this? Like, I don't understand. And they're like, oh, it's not reconciled yet. Like, you gotta wait until like, I don't know, whatever date. And then like yesterday they automatically appear. Like I'm just like I wonder like if this is happening on like all my other ASINs and like I don't know. That's the trickiest part is like tracking everything. If someone had to say what's the hardest part, I think it's that like reconciling, like making sure you're getting everything. Like if you're buying like a lot and you're doing like a lot in sales, like now it's like it's just hard to track stuff. Like you buy stuff, I just assume like it goes to the prep center, they get it, and not assume. Obviously, I'm looking at it and checking, but like you're buying like hundreds of ASINs in a given month. It's like it gets really hard to track and make sure like everything's going how it should be going.
Yeah, I love it whenever you have something missing for a while and then you go to reconcile it and then they magically find it. It's like,
Yeah, or they'll be like, "Hey, you sold 500 of these, so we need to see invoices for all 500."
Yeah.
It's like, "Are you serious?" So it's like, yeah, not doing that to reconcile one, like, not happening. Um,
Missing for months, but then I ask you about it and I want my money for it. And then you're like, oh wait, here they are.
yeah. How can I sign up with your prep center? There's a link in the bio
Link in the bio. It's organprepcenter.com. Or you can
or
reach
the
us, reach
description
out to
rather
me
than the
on
bio.
Instagram. But yeah, I'm hoping to make a post here soon for a quarter four because places are going to be shutting down. Just that's just how
Yeah.
quarter four works. So if you need a prep center, I strongly advise you to reach out to one right now before quarter four because a lot of these places are going to close their doors or they're going to take on way too many clients and it's going to take you like eons to send out one shipment and you don't want to be on that side. You don't be on that side
Yeah,
at all.
definitely not. Like, yeah, definitely not. Do you have any opinion on the FBA blind spot? FBA blind spot.
What's that?
I don't know what that is. FBA blind spot. I don't know. Let us know a little further.
Yeah.
I got an email saying I didn't label products. I disputed and they reversed it. That's always good. Yeah, it always makes sense to kind of dispute these things. A lot of the times so one of the biggest like tricks I've found is when you're disputing, when I used to do it myself, this is when they were losing like lots of inventory. And like I was like, I need to get this money back. Like I can't split it with a reimbursement company. It was just like too much. So they'd always, so the invoices, they'd just be like, you really have to mark them up. You got to be like, hey, this is where I bought it. This is how many I bought. Like, this is the ace and all that kind of stuff. So it's annoying. You have to do it for all that stuff. But what I found is like the kicker is you have to go to your shipment, click on the tracking number that UPS gave you, and take a screenshot saying that it was delivered at the Amazon warehouse. Because then you could be like, hey, this was delivered to your warehouse. Because like they'll be like, oh, we never got it. Like that was always the holdup. And then once I started taking a picture or a screenshot of like, hey, UPS said like they dropped it off and you signed for it, it's like you lost it. And that would always win the case, like submitting that, just taking a screenshot of that. And then, so that's what I've been doing or have done in the past. But yeah, it's so hard to prove some of this stuff sometimes. It's like expiration dates. Someone's like, oh, you sent something and expired. I'm like, highly doubt it, but like, how am I going to prove that? Like, I'm not taking pictures of like every expiration date, right? And it also probably like Amazon probably sent some other person's like item, some other seller on the listing. They're like, yep, we're just gonna say like this is John's and send it out, and like that for sure happens because for returns, I definitely get other people's items that I don't even sell.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what?
I don't know if I told the story before, but I need to tell it again if not. I remember this was like probably, I'd say this was maybe 5 or so months into my selling journey. And I just requested like a giant amount of my removals to just come back to my house. And I remember one day my mom brought me a big box, like I'm talking about a big box, into my room, and she's like, "Do you sell men's underwear?" And I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah." She said, "Here's a whole box of was it Ralph? No, it was Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren whitey tighty men underwear." And I was like, "No." So now I still have them. There's like 10 boxes
10
of,
boxes?
yes, 10 boxes of these underwear. Like, and I still have them
Is it
because
profitable?
I have no idea. I remember looking at
Well,
it.
I guess they would have to because they're free, but not
Yeah,
necessarily. If they're only
free,
selling for like
so
$10, weirdly
um,
enough, you'd be on in the hole with shipping on it.
but I didn't have it ungated at the time. Whenever I don't even know if I have it gated or not now, but back when I did it, it was gated. So they've just sat in here. So yeah, like I had 10 boxes of these white underwear. Like, and I've never sold underwear, Ralph
So
Lauren,
if you
any of this.
sold Ralph Lauren underwear and like 50 went missing, contact Michaela. She has them.
Yeah, like yeah. I've received some of the most random things and for returns, like things that I don't even like. This is actually recently. This might have been a couple months ago. I was, getting stuff, sending a bunch of stuff from removals to my house, and my dad. This was, I think, I must have been somewhere. This must have been when I was in Oregon, and he called me and he was like, "Yeah, you got a one of those like kits that you plug into your car to figure out what's wrong with it."
I got one of those too. But
Did you?
yeah.
It's the same one I got because I got one of those too, and I don't even sell those. And my dad's like, "This is actually kind of expensive." He's like, "This is like a good one." And I was like, "No, I don't." He's like, "You sell these?" He's like, "Why didn't I know you sell these?" And I'm like, "I don't sell those. That's why you don't know I don't sell those."
That, that's funny. Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely got one of those.
Yeah, I don't know who it was. Whoever's selling them, you must be getting like I don't. You must have got my like. kitchen appliances too, because that has to be where it ended.
Yeah, that's one of the best. Like, it's not the best, but like, it's crazy when you try to recall inventory. Like, it's a really good chance Amazon will lose it. Like, they're
Yeah.
not going to be able to find it, and then they're going to get reimbursed. I have to say, like, they're pretty fair. Like with reimbursements, like, there's this one thing that I'm selling, and like, I don't know what happened. Like, I don't even know how it would break, and like, it seemed like 30 out of the 50 I sent, they reimbursed me for. I just said damage in warehouse. I'm like, I wonder if it like someone just like dropped it off of something. Like it just seems
Maybe
so
forklift.
weird.
I always imagine like how many things are damaged by forklifts?
True. Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Falls off the shelf and like somebody runs it over. Like, oh, there's a whole box. That's probably where they're getting there's nothing in the box. Somebody's
Probably.
back and they're like, yeah, there's nothing in it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, so I was just like, wow, like it's interesting. And then other stuff, they're like the worst is when they reverse it. Like they refund you and then like they're like, oh, we're reversing this. And
It's
you're
like,
just like, one thing I've like noticed is it's super annoying. Like they're actually like I've gotten some returns. Like they're like just putting the label on like a box. So like
mhm.
if this water bottle comes in a box, like instead of putting it in like an Amazon box, they're just putting like a shipping label on the outside. So then like when the customer like they rip off the other label and like damage all the packaging. I got something back the other day. I'm like, it's like a brown bot. I'm like, what the hell is this? I was like, oh, they must have just put the shipping label on this. And then I'll try. I'm gonna take a picture and send it in with that like white little slip. But every time I've tried to do that, they're like, yeah, sorry, like not our problem. And I'm like, all right.
No, actually, I like to order um like my cabinet handles and like the hinges and stuff like that off of Amazon because you can get at Lowe's and spend like a fortune on stuff like that. And I go on there and there's like two brands that I usually shop, and they're really good quality. So I bought like a whole bunch of them for my kitchen cabinet doors, and I miscounted and I needed some more. So I ordered some more. And then today I get it and it's in that like Amazon bag, like the bag that like when someone returns something. I got
Yeah,
somebody's
yeah.
return back to me and it wasn't even the same item. I was like,
Jeez.
what is I'm like, what is it? And I'm like, this is somebody's return. And like my contractor's like, how do you know that? And I was like, dude, because I get these all the time. I was like, I
Just
know
the
this is it.
LPN sticker on it. I always find that hilarious.
Like,
Like
I
I've
know this
ordered
is
stuff before
return.
and it's like LPN. I'm like,
Yep.
oh, like either Amazon just shipped it or like the seller just like sent it back in. Like it was like screw it, like I don't care. Which is always kind of funny. But yeah, I've definitely gotten some stuff that says like LPN, and I'm like, this is
Yep.
weird. Like, but I'm like, it looks good, so I'm just gonna I'm not gonna return it. Like that's one thing I do hate about ordering from Amazon is like the return process. Like you gotta go to Kohl's. Like, I find that so annoying. Like I don't want
I
to go to
was
Kohl's.
to
Like
return things.
either do I anymore. Just because of that, it's like I have a label printer. Like let me print a label. Like I don't want to go to Kohl's and like do
Yeah,
this.
I
Like
miss when you were like always able to print the label. Now it's like you have to have a QR code and go to the UPS store or Kohl's or wherever. Or if you want to get it like the label, you have to pay for it. And I'm like, what happened to the days where we could just actually just print the label out at our house and just send it in? Like, why does it have to be this complicated now? And then you know what I mean? You just like, I don't even want to return it. So now I'm gonna have like a bunch of pools in my house because I just don't want to return stuff like that.
yeah, that's basically like I think they did it because they realized that people are gonna be like that. They're like, well, I don't want to go to Kohl's, like or
Smart.
whatever. And then I guess they probably save a ton of money because like if Kohl's and UPS are just like collecting their returns, they're probably just gonna put them in like a Gaylord,
Yeah.
and like they would save so much money versus having me and you. They have to pay like $10 for a shipping label. Meanwhile, they could pay like probably like get a pallet shipped to them what for like 100, $120, depending on where it's going, with like 1,000 returns in it. And I was like, huh, that makes a lot of sense, but like I don't know. I find it annoying.
Yeah,
So
it's
I don't want to deal with that. What are your minimums and typical prices for prep? Do you have that on the website?
yeah, it's on the website. There's no technical like minimum. But like obviously depending on where you're kind of at, if you're sending like under 200 units, it's honestly like, is it really worth it? Because you're paying a lot more in shipping. So the way we like to do it is we like to be of benefit. Obviously, we like making money, but we also like our clients to not spend money on a bunch of shipping. So we don't want to just send out like a half of a box to Amazon. We would rather you have a full box. And so then clients get upset because we only send out once a month for them. And I'm like, well, if we send out once a week for you, you're going to have one box full of like, 20 items. So
That's always the worst when something gets split because like it happens with Lego sets. Like if you buy like a bigger Lego set, like during like there were some sets. I mean, it has to be worth the money. You can only get 8 in a box, like because of like dimensions and just they're fat, they're long. And then if you only have 8 in a box and that box costs like $10 to ship, well, now you have to tack on like I don't know what the math would be, but like $1.50 more to your buy cost because like of the shipping. Like I got real lucky today. I'm sending out like I think 180 items. Like it cost me like $18 to ship. So I mean that's insane. But like if you're sending like heavy stuff, they're only putting like 5 in a box, and like the box is 50 pounds, and you only get 5 items in there. I mean you're paying like $2, $3 more per item. So you should always try to. I factor in 40 cents a pound for shipping, like when sourcing
Mhm.
in Salaramp, just to like kind of catch that because like I remember like doing it at first, and I was like, why? Like saying I'm making money, I'm not. And then I was like, oh yeah, I didn't account for like the shipping to Amazon in the calculation.
Yeah, I think I usually do 30. I don't know, but I probably should do a little bit more than that.
Yeah. I guess it depends on what you're sourcing too. If you're sourcing like, and I guess it's based on, I guess, like what Amazon says the weight is, which isn't always correct. And can like throw some stuff off. But
Yeah, I've seen that before where it'll say it weighs whatever, and it's like there's no way that weighs like we had like a thing of vitamins or something, and it was like, yeah, it weighs 3 pounds, and I was like,
no,
there's no way. It's
like
like a
maybe like 12 of them weighs like three
it's a
pounds.
plastic container too. It wasn't even glass. I'm like, there is absolutely no way that's close to 3 pounds or whatever it was.
Well, I was like looking at something and it was like the same exact item, and they had like 3 variations, and the variation, well, one of them was profitable and the other 2 weren't, and it's exact same like weight, size. So I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. Like I don't want to reach out to them and be like, oh, like you gotta, can you do a cuba scan or whatever? Like I don't know, just move on and buy other stuff because it's not worth it. If you source 10 or more stores online, how do you keep track of all of it? Any software for that or Excel? What do you guys use? So for me, I use Celeran. So it has like a Google Sheets integration. Um, there's like 4 videos on this channel how I use Celeramp and kind of how the spreadsheet's set up. Um, and basically, all I do is like I'll enter the URL of whatever the item I'm buying into like the source, and then add it to whatever Google Sheet I want to add it to. And then I have a bunch of other information that I want to capture, like the sales rank, how much I'm paying for it, how much I want to sell it for, all that kind of stuff. And then that Google Sheet just kind of builds and builds. I have one for like out of stock. I have one for Christmas. I have one for sales. So you just keep making these spreadsheets in Celeramp, And I just click the button, and then that's kind of how I do it. And then yeah, I leave a blank space for the order number and for the store, and I'll just manually put in the store and the order number.
Yeah, I was horrible at that, but I'm horrible at organization, period. Um, like my room is a hot mess. So I bought a cabinet, like a filing cabinet for, you know, when I started doing my renovations and things, so that I could keep track of my receipts and my invoices. And then like I've just got like a whole pile of receipts just chilling on my bed, like they're not even there. So like I was
Oh,
horrible at organization. But I think I was probably about 6 months into it, and when I was like, "Yeah, we gotta, like, make a change for my Amazon business, at least not for this yet, but maybe in 6 months, we'll talk about it." But I, had it was just a Google sheet. It's pretty basic, it's nothing c crazy. I'm not like a wizard at Excel or Google
yeah,
Sheets. I can make formulas in it and graphs and charts and things like that. It's just basic, and all it had was the date I ordered it, where I ordered it from. There's a spot for the order number, when I ordered it, all the
yeah,
ASIN, how much it cost me, all of that information in there. And then it kept track actually of my entire spend, and then it would put it in the side. I actually got it from Miles, Flips for Miles. Um, and it kept track of everything for me. And that's honestly like the best way that I recommend is just making a sheet, or like John said, I could just never get onto the whole like Google like sheet integration with SalaryAmp. I don't know. It's just so I had just gotten used to having that sheet, and I was like, I'm
mhm.
not gonna I'm not gonna learn a whole other method right now. This was long enough for me to like finally use it. So it's like I'm not changing it
Like,
now.
that's funny. I can't imagine not using the integration because it just makes life so much easier. Like, because you don't have to copy and paste, and like it allows me to capture so much more information. Because like now, it
Mhm.
just like click of a button, I can add it to a spreadsheet. Like, there's
It,
this thing the other day where heard someone say like all they do is they just assume everything's like 30 to 40% off. So like when they're looking at a listing or whatever, or they come across something, they'll make a note that they'll be like, oh, if this is 30% off, or if this is a buy one get one, like this would be profitable. And I was like, oh, that's a really good idea, because like you come across stuff like all the time, and it's just like, ah, man, like this is it's so close, but like, and then you just forget about it. So I started doing that, and then sure enough, like one of these sites had this one brand on sale, and I had like 10 or 12 ASINs, just bought them all. Like, if this is 30%, and like they had all the stuff that was like closed, and instead of having to like spend that time like going through it again, I just captured the info in a spreadsheet and literally just open it up and just look and see, oh, like, are these items from this store? Is there any ASINs on here that I could buy that would be profitable? And then I kind of just go like that. I mean, I feel like that's kind of the biggest thing for OA is just really being organized, and like how much data do you have, and like I have like a master buy sheet like every ASIN I ever bought, and it's just like so easy to go through that, and like I could sort it by store, I could sort it by like potential profit, like all this certain stuff. It just makes it like real easy. Like that's gonna be my Q4 plan. It's like look at everything I bought last year and the year before, and just like sort that out. Who knows? Maybe I'll just like sort by date and like delete everything else except for like October and November, and just like go through all that stuff, see if it's still profitable. Um, See if I can still get it and kind of make a game plan for that. But yeah, that's kind of one of the best things you can do.
That's
Um,
I had a tab in mine. So like I had each month obviously, and then at the end of wherever I was at, I had it was called my master sourcing tab. And what I did was I just loaded it up with different ASINs, whether they were out of stock or maybe I needed a coupon for it, or maybe I was waiting for the listing to recover, or maybe I was like uncertain about the offers count, or maybe it was something that I thought that I could buy during quarter four instead. I kept it all in that little that little sheet, and that way I could reference it at any time. And it made it so much easier because you'll be like, you'll tell yourself like, oh, I'll remember to check back, or oh, I'll remember that if this coupon comes up, that I'll use it on this, whatever. You won't. After you look, if you're looking through thousands of items, you're not going to remember all. So that's why I just kept it in the sheet. And that way I could just quickly reference it whenever I needed to.
I forget all it. Like, it's also good for like idea generation. Like, I've definitely been like, oh, like, where do I want to source today, or like, what am I looking for? And like, I'll go back and see what I bought in the past. I'm like, oh man, I totally forgot about that store or that brand, or that I bought this. And like the other day, like, yeah, something. One of the things I've paid like $1,000 on this one, Asen. It was something that would just like went out of stock like a year ago, and no one ever brought it back in stock on Amazon, and like the store had it. So I just like bought it, and I was making like $15 like per sale on it, just because like I like checked back, and it was in stock. So stuff like that is always kind of good to go after and keep track of. I think that's all the questions. If you guys don't have any more, we will see you guys next week. Have a good weekend, and yeah, we'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.